Alright guys, Damon at Black Warrior Lures, guess what we got? Gear. Remember that project on the hopping up the mud motor I kept been harping and telling you guys about? Guys, we got all the parts. Seriously. OMB, Old Mini Bikes, they just chipped in and gave us all the parts. I mean, I just started contacting companies, you know, and just seeing if any of the companies were willing to work with me on this stage 2-3 build, and they said, yeah! Awesomeness squared, man. Whole box of parts to take this little engine here. Let's get the paperweight there. And so this is an unboxing of a mud motor stage 2-3 build, as we would do. Oh my gosh. What is this? Is these safety glasses? Or, wow, that is nice. They actually gave me safety glasses while we're working. That's nice. That's really nice. OMB Warehouse, guys. I'm serious. So this is going to be the first in the series. We'll just do a playlist instead of trying to make one big long video like I typically do with these things. I'll probably just do a series. Be a lot easier for me. So here is the, not sure what part this is. Ah, this is the rod. Yep, comes with paperwork, instructions. Yep, that's the rod. Check out the links below. That's where the link straight to where you can buy these on the OMB website. This is from ARC. This is the billeted rod. So, you know, let's just go through all the parts of the build. Oh, these parts are always smaller than they look on the website because it's just a very small engine. Wow, nice. Oh my gosh, that is so lightweight. This, my friend, is a well-built piece of equipment. There's that goes around the crank. Neighbors are always running around. Wow, billeted aluminum. This is added insurance because the rod on the stock one is just designed for like 3,000, 3,600, 3,800 RPM. This thing will run up, I forget how fast it is, but we're planning on turning 6,000 RPM with this thing. So what we're gonna do is put this connecting rod, and that is billeted, so it's lightweight. You know, what you're doing is reducing the inertial effects. The engine has to consume power just to keep itself running. And anytime you use lighter components, like aluminum, billeted aluminum parts like this, what that means is the engine has to spend less energy to keep all these parts moving up and down and around, which means more power is gonna get to the wheel. And since we're running higher RPM, this can handle that higher RPM range. And so that's why we're doing that. And so these are the shims, I guess, that go with it. They go in here. So we got that. Right, we're gonna just check off the parts here. All right, and the instructions right there. We got that on there. We saw the gaskets. That's the whole gasket kit for the cover, the head gasket, the exhaust, the carburetor, all that. Okay, now let's see. I'm guessing this is the, try to guess at which each part is. I don't know. Maybe this is the camshaft, maybe? No, this is the carburetor. Okay. This carb is pre-jetted and ready for engine braking. However, you need to remove the O-ring from the bottom of the low speed jet after braking before going to the track. I don't know what that means. I mean, actually I do know what it means. Oh, we got that. That's the choke thingy. So this is the carburetor. The carburetor, I chose to go with a, yeah, that's the choke thing. This carburetor has been this is a modified carburetor. In other words, you've seen me take the other carburetor and rejet it. You know, you've taken this bottom part off and put a new jet in it. But what they've done with this thing is actually gone through with a CNC machine and bored out the inside of this thing, routed it out, and what that does is that gives us even more air. So even more air is going to, that's the throttle there actually. And there's a Venturi that's been bored out. They bore it out so you can get more air and fuel into the thing. And there's our choke. This is the carburetor. So essentially, basically they take a stock carburetor, bore out the inside of it, that Venturi there, which accelerates the air. You already have a velocity stack out here that's accelerating the air. It's getting in here to a wider bore, so you can cram more air in. Therefore, they can put a bigger jet in, the low end jet and the high end jet on it, and that makes even more horsepower. So a stock carburetor that's been really incredibly modified. 615. This is the 615 carburetor. I know a lot of guys, when they buy this, they'll get the 650 from a different place, but I went with the 615 because this is what OMB Warehouse has, and that's what I'm going to go with. You know, and that's the 615 carburetor, basically a stock carburetor that's been bored out and rejetted and reworked, recircuitry, all that kind of thing. So there's a carburetor. Now let's see. Oh, yeah, let's put this back in here. The reason I thought it was the camshaft because it was sort of oblong and things, but I don't know. Let's see what else can we come up with. That's the so that's the carburetor, the 615 carburetor. This has got to be the camshaft. Yep, Dyno cams. I mean, how do you know? You know, Predator 2, Mod 2. Need to call it Mud 2. You know. Billeted flywheel required. This is a big part. This is the camshaft. Let's see, does it have instructions? Yeah, well, it has Dyno cams. Got all kinds of case badges. My daggone motor's gonna look like a race car. Oh, these are the numbers. Modified Predator modified cam. They call it a cheater cam because it well, if you get caught with it racing, you're cheating, right? Because what it does, it has greater lift and duration. Now, here's what that means. Here's what that means. The valves on your motor open up, and that lets the fuel and air mixture into the combustion chamber. It's ignited and then goes through another cycle. Another valve opens and let all the spent gas out, right? So, what does the camshaft have to do with all that? Well, if you can make the valves open up higher and make them stay open longer, you're going to actually be able to get more air and fuel in. So again, carburetor that's been modified to give us more air and fuel. The camshaft is opening up the valves higher and for longer, which is, guess what, gonna make us and there we go. That's it. That's the Mod 2 camshaft, brand spanking new. Now, I don't know if these are brand new camshafts or they've just been reground at the plant from the originals. I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't care one way or the other, as long as it gets me more horsepower. Now, with this camshaft, you need to be aware that you need to have you got to be aware of what generation of Harbor Freight motor you have. I have a non-Hemi motor. If you get on the OMB website, you probably see the logo pop up again. They'll have Hemi or non-Hemi, and there's a way that you can tell just simply by the valve cover. The stamped valve cover is one, the embossed valve cover or whatever, or like the cast iron looking valve cover is a different one. I forget which is which, but they have it clearly laid out on the thing. Now, these are all the numbers. Billet flywheel is mandatory. Check valve lashing when engine is cold. Ignition timing, 30 degrees timing. Thanks for using Dyno cams. The intake, the lift is 2248. The exhaust is 2351. And these are, oh yeah, there's a valve lashing, so we need to buy a lashing thingy. Probably just go to the auto parts store and get that. So that's keep that card, don't lose that. If not, you can probably get on Dyno Cam's website and they'll have all that information there with it. And so there's our camshaft. Performance camshaft. I mean, these are performance parts, guys. I mean, these are race grade parts. You can go racing with these things. So we're going to take an already tough engine. Oh, you got to be kidding me, right? That wasn't too smart. Okay, now moving on. Springs. Remember what we were saying. The build is going to be all about revving up horsepower. I mean, revving up RPMs. So we're going to target about 6,000 RPM, maybe even a little more depending on the prop and all that kind of thing. You're going to have heavier springs because the valves will just float open on you. That camshaft specs 18-pound springs. Now the springs that come with the original are good for that, for what it was made for, but we're taking that little motor and making it a beast. So we got to have thicker, heavier springs. And the camshaft specs 18-pound springs. That's what I'm going. These are genuine Honda springs from the genuine Honda GX200. They fit perfectly on the what we have here. So that's another thing we're going to do is heavier springs. The next thing, throttle plate. Huh, look at that. This is the throttle kit. Okay. Yeah, the throttle kit, because we're taking out the governor. See, the governor is what controls the throttle on the motor, not the throttle. The governor overrides everything, because these are just industry standard motors, power equipment motors, and they're just designed to deliver consistent power all the time. So if the governor is designed to run at 1 RPM all the time, maybe say 3,000 RPM. Okay, let's say it's set there. Or, you know, now if the engine needs more, the governor gives it more power. If you know, let's say if you've ever cut grass with your lawnmower, you notice that these lawnmowers don't even have a throttle setting on them anymore. Why? Because the governor takes over. What happens is, let's say you're mowing along and it's just going brrrr, you run through a thick patch of grass. You'll notice the RPMs will change, and then the moment you get through that thick patch, it'll come back down. The governor's designed to just maintain constant RPM. It's like a constant RPM on an airplane, you know, constant RPM motor. That's what the governor does. It restricts the RPM both on the upper end and the lower end. We're taking that out altogether, and we're just going to be controlling the throttle directly onto the carburetor. And you need a kit to allow you to do that. Now, some people come up with all kinds of things. I just went ahead and got this one. This is straight off of, again, check the links below. They're on the Harbor Freight website. I'll just put them there to you, and they'll be in here all throughout the course. And so that's it right there. You just check the links below and you'll find it, and we'll just put that on. And the last thing, without a doubt, oh yeah, look at this, more case badges from OMB Warehouse. Lots of case badges. I call them case badges because from my computer building days, companies are always sending you badges to put on your case. And so we call them case badges. All right. Let's see what we got here. Oh, come on now. All right. You know what this is going to be. For those of you who build these kinds of motors, that's right. This is the billeted flywheel. This is it. Again, it requires, there's a coil gap, 32 degrees, before top dead center. I guess that's what that means. This is from arc racing. Boy, this got some weight to it. Because here's what the flywheel does. The flywheel stores energy. You realize that internal combustion engine, 4-stroke engines are only about 25% efficient. Why? Because they're only producing power 1 out of 4 strokes. The other strokes, it's either getting the burnt gas out or resetting itself. So what do? I mean, if it wasn't, well, what inertia? You got a big, heavy piece of metal like this, and that power stroke starts this thing here turning, and that's what starts to turn, and this will maintain that momentum for the other 3 strokes even though it isn't producing power. It's a very cool deal. It's called the Flywheel. The stock Flywheel, again, it's designed for just 33,000, 3,600 RPM, maybe 3,800. If you start running at 6,000 RPMs like I'm running here, this magnet here, that's what that is, because this is a magneto, you know, electromagnetism. The magnet will delaminate and it'll come out and it can kill you. That's why you go with a billeted flywheel. And so if you put that billeted flywheel on there, that's going to give you safe power at higher RPM. Now look, anything can just, look, I got to put a disclaimer on this thing. Don't be stupid. Hopping up motors is dangerous. You do this at your own peril. Okay? I'm showing you the best practices as known. If you are going to remove the governor on your motor, you have to use a billeted flywheel. Period. Because that magnet will delaminate, it'll spin off and kill you. Second thing, if you're going to run this billeted flywheel, you need to get a billeted rod, because you need to have something that can sustain high and heavy RPMs. Now this thing has some weight to it. That's its point. It's the flywheel. It's designed to sustain that energy. And notice it has fins on here, which that's the fan. You can just take I'm guessing you can just take the stock fan off, because these are essentially the cooling fins now that replace the plastic ones. And so we're going to buy some lapping compound. We're going to have to buy some various things like that. But there you have it. This is the billeted flywheel. And so let's just put all the parts back in. We're going to go into the house and be happy, drinking some Kool-Aid or something for the rest of the day. You know how it is when you get new stuff? It's like, oh, let's just be happy that we got new stuff, and we're going to drink Kool-Aid, you know. So there's the billeted flywheel. This was the carburetor. Okay, and these were the springs. It goes down there. And this is the knife that I was cutting it open with. Okay, this was the throttle bracket thing. This was the billeted rod, I think. I'm pretty sure it was. Well, just put him right there. And here we have the, gosh, they packed it so nicely. I guess they pack these kits a lot and they know what goes where, when, and how it fits. And that was the camshaft. And here we have safety goggles, case badges, and the all-important gaskets. Now, the gasket on the non-Hemi is already thin, so you don't have to worry about, a lot of people try to get, so I'm going to get the thin gasket, get a little bit better compression ratio. Well, on the original, on the non-Hemi version, apparently the gaskets are already, they're already, you know, what am I trying to say? They're already thin or whatever. So if you're trying to go that compression ratio route, you're better off just getting a longer rod or a flat top piston or a different head or anything like something like that. But the main thing is that we have the entire gasket kit for the entire motor. That's the valve cover there. This is the head gasket. This is for the case cover, and that's for the exhaust. Yeah, that's the exhaust. That's the exhaust as well. Looks like it comes in layers, and then that's the one for the carburetor. And that, my friends, is a look at the parts that you're going to need to hop up your 212cc Predator to stage 2-3 build, which there's no reason you shouldn't have at least 11 horsepower, if not more. I mean, again, I have to say that in sort of a disclaimer because I don't have a dyno, so how do I know that? If you just click around the internet at these go-kart modders who have dynos, they're all saying, you know, some of these guys are producing a lot of horsepower like that. And anecdotal evidence, everyone whom I've ever talked to who has done this build, they say that their motor, man, it just feels like a 12 horse motor. It feels like a 12 horse motor. And so while I can't say exactly how much horsepower, uh, you know, I know one guy on the Mud Motor Kit forums, he actually said that he had a dyno done, um, and he almost had, it was like 11.8 horsepower or something like that. So my guess is you can expect at least 11 horsepower out of it. So you're going to take a 6.5 horsepower motor, get about 11 horse on it. And the truth be told, there are other carburetors and other camshafts that will allow you to get even more a little bit more horsepower even than that. So, you know, there we have it. If you're looking for the links, where do you buy all this stuff? You buy it from OMB Warehouse. Okay, they supply this for us, all right, and the links are down below. The exact parts that they've sent me, the exact parts that you'll see me install on this motor, they're right there down there in the description. So check them out. It's an awesome website. When I first got my motor, and I was looking to do a stage 1 sort of build, most of the parts, I mean, the parts came from OMB Warehouse. I'm going to be honest with you. I got the intake kit there. I got the what is it? I got the intake, the air kit. I got the carburetor reject kit, and that's all. That's what I got. And Mr. Dobbs at Mud Motors gave me the other tailpipe or whatever. But this kit comes from OMB Warehouse, and they've been nice to me. They have good parts. They stock them. You know, I literally had talked to them a couple of days ago about this build, and here it is about 2 or 3 days later. Here are the parts in the mail. They're awesome. All right, so quite honestly, and so so go check them out. Check out the links. If you've done a build like this, let me know what you think. I know some of you guys have done this and given me some tips on using certain dowels and shims and things like that in various places. Let me know what some of the things that can help. You can help other people, because you kind of want this to be a community thing so that everybody can have this information and go out and get the most that they can out of these little motors. I mean, they're great little motors. I love them. You love them. You've seen me running them. We're trying to get set up for the season here, and so this comes at the perfect timing. And go check it out, and I'll talk to you guys later.